Hello, I'm Cecilia Louie of Paper Zen. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to quill the lowercase letter D. All the letters of the alphabet are in my PDF book, Quilling Lowercase Letters. If you'd like to try quilling a letter, look in the notes below to find a link to my blog where you can download the letter A in both upper and lowercase. Give it a shot. So I've got my two strips ready for the lowercase letter D here, and I'm going to tackle the inside shape first. I've already scored where it's indicated in my pattern, and this is obviously the shorter side, and that's going to be the curve. So I can use my regular quilling tool to put the curve in here, but I actually prefer to use a crochet hook because I prefer this circumference, but you can use whatever you prefer. So I'm just going to grip the straight side because I want to protect it. I'm not going to put any curve in this part at all, right? So I'm just going to start where that fold is and just soften. And that's obviously not soft enough, but I want to actually start putting a curve in here right away. So what I'm going to do is put it down on my template and watch where that curve is, and just kind of rub the paper gently across your finger like that. And then you can see how it created quite a sharp curve right there. I'm going to do the same right here because this part here is already softened. So that's almost there. I'm just going to turn the page just to look at it from another angle, and I like what I generally see right about there. That's not too bad. And a lot of times just kind of pressing on it with your fingers can actually shape it as well. That's not too bad. So I'm just going to glue that corner together. I'm just going to put a little stream of glue on my card, and I'm going to kiss my glue. What I mean by kiss is just a gentle touch. Then I'm going to use this straight side from here and push this straight side against it so that I have something to hold on to as I put these two ends together. So I'm going to let that set now. So I find sometimes when I've handled it after gluing, it does change its shape, so I will come back and test it to the pattern. And it has done what I was worried it was going to do, so that's not a big deal. What I want to do is put back some curve right there. So I'm going to pick it up and just gently massage that curve back in. Now, and I want to be careful of that join because it is, it's a very fragile join, and just rubbing it will give it back some of that extensive curve that we were looking for. It's a little off here, so I'm just going to put a little bit of curve right there. And that's more in line now. I'm just going to put that aside for now and work on the larger strip. So I'm just going to follow along the pattern here. This is the longest side, and follow along the template. It's just going to tell me exactly whether I need to turn the curve this way, or in this case right here, the opposite way. And when I make these folds here, I'm going to gently bring my fingers together to make sure that they're aligned. You never want to make that fold with this kind of off-center kind of thing because it's going to make your job gluing it to your surface a lot harder. So we're going to imagine that this curve gets made, and then there's, you know, some more folds here. And then one more. Now these three sides here are straightforward, no pun intended, because they're straight. We're just going to put a curve in this strip right here. So I'm going to gently soften by scraping it like that, turning it around and continuing that softening. So you can see we want definitely a lot more curve right here. So now I'm going to rub the strip. And it was almost a bit too much, so I'm just going to open it up gently. It's so easy to make it relax, right? Just by kind of guiding it. And so it's already following that curve, and I want to put a bit more curve right there. So that's not too bad. I think that's okay to get along with now. We're ready to glue it down. For the lowercase d, I'm going to quill it onto a card that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch. Why do I like this size so much? Because it's exactly a sheet of 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of paper, which I've cut in half and then folded down in half, and then you get 2 cards from that one sheet. So from there, what I've done is gone to a sunny window and shone the light from that side and put down some removable tape and put the card right where this outline is. And what I've done is use a dried up pen and traced the letter onto this cardstock. So I've already done that ahead of time. And now with the removable tape, it's not going to, you know, give me any grief in taking that template off of my card. So now I've got the letter D transferred on here. The glue I'm using is Aleene's Original Tacky Glue. And I'm just going to put it in a stream on this thin plastic card here. I'm going to smear the glue flat. And I'm going to actually glue this piece all at one go because it is rather small. I always tackle the inside shape first. And because it's fairly matching this shape quite well, I feel comfortable in gluing it all at one go on my card. So I'm just going to dip in my puddle. And just place it in place. Now, just because this is, you know, the two ends are here, it doesn't mean that you have to start with either of those two ends in terms of gluing it down. I would say tackle it in terms of where you feel comfortable, actually. So for me, I'm going to tackle here and here and secure that first, and then I'll tackle the rest. So I'm just going to dip this strip into the glue, and then the next segment strategically dip that. And what this does is it allows me to have a good security point here so that I can tackle this longer strip with you know, some security, I guess, in place. So because I guess I'm right-handed, it's probably easier for me to go dip from this area here. And I'm going to raise my gluing piece to meet the paper. And with my left hand, I'm just going to tug gently so that the paper, I don't know if you can see, but if you don't tug, do you see how there's some bend to that? I don't want that. I want to just gently tug towards the left to get this straight. You can also, I mean, the glue is still wet, so it's still actually kind of forgiving. You can use a piece of card to just, you know, give it a bit of a straight edge. Now, because I've smeared this glue flat, it's actually going to dry quite quickly, and I don't want to take the chance that this might have formed any skin, so I'm just going to lay down some new glue. Now I'm going to tackle these two straight edges here, so I'm just going to dip it strategically in the glue, and I'm just going to use a piece of plastic to make sure that these two corners meet. Now I'm just going to pick up some of the glue, and when you pick it up, do you see how the glue is on one side of the needle and the other side is without any glue? So I'm just going to use the side without glue to push this sheet aside, the paper aside, and smear the glue on this corner here. And always have some paper on hand to take off any excess glue. And then I'm just going to bring these two corners together and join them. Now basically we've got the easy parts all done. All these straight edges are down. The only thing left is the curve part. But it's actually a lot easier now because everything else is stable. So I would just suggest that you make sure that this curve is where you need it to be. If there's any adjustments that you need to make, like, you know, a little bit higher, lower, now is the time to figure that out. Before you do any gluing, you know, just kind of make sure that this is where you want it to be. And if you'd like to, you can use a post-it note to just kind of visually guide yourself. You might have better lighting than I do in this space right now, and well, maybe it's just my eyes getting to a certain age and it's a little harder for me to see, so I'm just going to put down some post-it notes to help me guide myself here. I could shine more light, but actually what happens is then I actually cast more shadow on during the filming, so it actually makes it harder for you guys to see what's going on. So to be honest with you, I'm deliberately trying to soften the lighting so that I have an easier time showing you guys the techniques. But because of that, then I can't actually see what I'm doing. So it's a bit of a catch-22. And because I've been talking so much, my glue is dried again. So I'm just going to put down glue again. You can see that just a small amount will smear so nicely and you don't actually use too much. So I've got my 3 guides here, and you can just work one section at a time. You don't need to do all of it all at one time. there you've quilled your letter D. As for how to fill in the letters, please watch my previous videos for a variety of ideas. Don't forget to visit my blog to download your free template to give it a try. I want to keep improving my tutorials, so would you let me know what tip was new for you in the comments below, or what technique you enjoyed learning about most? If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll give it 2 thumbs up. Thanks and see you next time!